Hello guys and welcome to a new episode of Leubner's Lecture. Today we're doing a very special lecture because it's the first part of a series of exercises that I'm going to do. And today we're going to practice vanilla JavaScript with a little bit of HTML and CSS. We're going to create a website, a musical management website, where we can add new musicals and where we can filter for musicals. There is a basis that I already created for you. I will show you in a minute. Before I want to start, I want to mention that this lecture is part of the lecture I'm giving at the Higher Technical School of Kaindorf in Austria. Okay, guys, so don't waste any time. Let's just start right away. This is what I already created. So it's kind of a very short, small website. We have a musical management system here. We have some input form that's not visible right now, so let's make it visible. So we have an input form here where we can enter a title, an author, a year, genre, and the duration in minutes. And then we have a list, musical list down there, which can be filtered, and we can also add additional filter properties here. So let's take a look at the HTML file. If you want to also have the same basis to start with, you may just pause the video and copy whatever I'm doing. I'm just going through all the files so that you know what it's all about. So first of all, we have the input form here with all the different fields and a button that we will use to add musicals to our list down there. Then we have the musical list, and the musical list consists of the filter container part here, where we have the whole filtering thing, and of the list itself, which is written down there. The main JavaScript file is just structured, but nothing's in there yet. But the style.css file is another interesting thing. We'll just do some basic styling here for the body, for the container, for the h1, and also for the button. I have a hover property here. I have the invisible as a class. We will use that because the form should be invisible at the beginning, but we'll come to that later. Then some formatting for the image and for the whole form. And then finally for the filter, so for the whole filter container and the musical list, which is represented by some grids. There it is. So we have 3 in a row, and the item itself, which is formatted in that way. Okay. I think it's a good idea if I always tell you what we want to achieve, and then we just implement the functionality after, or the functionalities after each other. So the first thing that we want to achieve is the following. So this form at the beginning should be invisible. So I have the class there. So invisible, which means it's not there. But if I click the show input form button, I want it to be visible. And if I click it again, I want it just to be hidden again. So this class to be set. And this is the first task we should do in here. And to do so, we're starting right away. First, what we need is we need to access the button, because the button is where we need to set the listener on, and the button has the ID show input form. So this is what we start with. So we are grabbing the document, we're grabbing a query selector here, and what we do is we just grab the button. We're adding an event listener. Let's just go to the next line. An event listener, and the listener is a click listener. So in that way, and after that, what we want to do is we want to, I think we should make the selection depending on what class currently is set for the input form. So let's just grab what the class, or let's just set the class name, and we are setting the class name by seeing what the current class name is. So what we do is we are grabbing once again the input form, and if the class name is equal to in visible, we want it to be nothing. And if it's not nothing, then we want it to be invisible. So that should already do the whole story. So if we now click on the show input form, it's being shown. And if we click again, it's not shown anymore. And we're just doing this by adding or getting rid of class names. So let's take a look at the element itself. So we should see the element here. So we don't see the form right now, but this is our form. Let's select the form, and we see that our input form here, which is that, has no class right now, okay? So the class is just empty. If we click the button again, we see that the class is now invisible. And by just changing one word in our class declaration or in our class definition for that element, we can make it visible or invisible. The next thing is what we would like to do is we want to create a new musical and add it to the list down there. And as we have also the possibility to filter, we kind of need some more data structure. So we need a class for the musical, and we need one data structure that holds the musical, so all that we have. Then one data structure that we use to display the musicals, we will call it filtered musicals. And then we will need one data structure to hold all the filters here. And additionally, I want the duration to be displayed, so it's entered in minutes, so 121, and the display down there should be 2H for hours, blank, and 1M for minutes. So split it up in hours and minutes. So this is what we're doing here. So first of all, we create the class musical. And to create the class musical, we have a constructor here with a title, with an author, year, genre, and duration. And then it's just this.title equals title, this.author equals author, this.year equals year, this.genre equals genre, and this.duration equals duration. So this is basically what it should be about. And now the next thing is to create a function, get duration, which returns the duration in the format that we would like to have here. So what I first of all do is I'm grabbing the hours, and I'm going to floor this with the math.floor function. And I'm just grabbing the duration and divide it by 60. So this gives me the whole hours. And then by just grabbing the duration modulo 60 should give me the minutes. So for the example, if we have 121 and we divide it by 60, this is something like 2 point whatever. So 2, and then modulo 60 means that only the 1 minute will be left. And what we are returning then is a template string, which is pretty cool for what we plan to do here, because we can enter some values here and we can enter some values there. And these are our hours and these are our minutes. And then we just say hours and minutes. That's it for setting up the duration, and not inside the class, but after the class, we are creating musicals. We're creating our arrays. So one, as I mentioned, to hold all the musicals. Then filtered musicals to hold all the musicals to be displayed, and then the filter values to hold all the values in the drop down. And the first that we need to enter is the all, because this is already in there. Okay, that's it for the first point here. Now I want an additional thing. So whenever adding something and I click on the add button and right now nothing is filled in here, I want to have an error message telling me that I have to fill in the fields and also stating which fields still need to be filled in. So this is what I would like to do here. And therefore I want to switch to HTML, because in here we should include another field. So after the duration in here, we just create a class, or we just create a div with the class error. So we're going to create that one. and the ID add message, because it's the message that's shown when the add button is clicked. Message, so it should be here. Yes. And I think we should also style that one. So let's go down here and style the dot error. So the color should be red. I would really like to set another font size. Let's just make it a little bit bigger, smaller than 1 rem. So we go for the font weight to be 600. Let's set some padding. So it's let's go for 14 pixels here, so that we have some kind of intent. And that whole thing is a grid. So when you take a look at the form up here, where is it? Here we see that this whole form is a grid, and we want this grid to, or we want our error to go from left to the right. So what we need to say here for grid column is 1/3, which means it's just going fully over the whole width here of our box. And finally, we don't want the message to be visible at the beginning, so we need to say invisible here so that it's hopefully gone. Yes. Okay, so now as we manage the error message, we can now add a new musical. So whenever adding something, entering something there and clicking the add button, first of all, we want the error message to come up if one of the fields is not filled in. So let's grab our button. So the add button, we do that with the query selector. It's the add musical. And we are adding an event listener, and the listener that we are adding is the click listener. We have some events that we grab here, and there we go. So first thing is we need to grab all the elements. So we do that by just saying const title equals document dot query selector and dot value. So with dot value we can access input fields values, and we do that for title, author, year, genre, and duration. So it's title, author, year, genre, and duration. And we also need to set something here. So it's title here, it's author, it's year, it's genre, and its duration. So this helps us to grab all the values, and now we need to find out which values are, or which fields are not filled out, and these fields need to be stated in our error message, so we need to collect them. And I create an array for collecting my missing values, and if the title is not there, then I'm pushing title. And the same is done for the author, the year, the genre, and the duration. So it's author here, it's year, it's genre, it's duration, and it's author, it's year, it's genre, and its duration. Perfect. So hopefully when console logging the missing values, and let's see, we click on the show input form and we click the add button, we get title, author, year, genre, duration. So exactly what we expect. Perfect. And now let's create the error message to be shown. So this is our missing values string, and we just do this with a simple for loop. So missing values dot length I++, and then we define first of all that the missing values string is so we are adding missing values at a position of I, and if we are not at the last position, so if we're always before the last position, we have to add a blank and a semicolon. That's pretty important here. And now finally we can just check if this missing values dot length is greater than 0, which means that we have missing values. Then we are grabbing the error message that we just created. So it's the add message. And then we're just setting the text content to be, let's use a template string here. Please fill in all the required fields, colon, and then we add our missing values string. Additionally, so that it's visible, we need to get rid of the invisible. So we are grabbing the element again. So query selector, add this message, class list dot remove, and what we're removing is the invisible. So let's see if that works out. So if I'm doing that, nothing's happening. We know that our button click is working, but nothing's happening right now. So how can you debug this? So we see that it says we have a null object here for the class list. So something's not working with what we did down there. And if we take a look, it gives us the idea that 57 is a problem. And then you find out that this is the problem. So you missed the hash at the beginning, and now it's working out. So please fill in all the required fields. And what are we still missing? We're missing all the blanks and the commas, and the problem is that I typed a dash instead of the dot here. Did you see the errors? Because I really want to train you to make sure, just misdid that here, to make sure that you think of errors, because often you don't get any error messages in JavaScript, and this is a very, very big problem. So please make sure to think of that easy things. During this exercise, I will include some more of these arrows, and for sure I will tell you afterwards, but just for yourself, think of whenever you think, oh, that might not be correct, that you already noticed it, okay? I think that makes sense to train this a little bit. So this should also work out if we enter values. Yeah, that looks great. So we're just missing year and duration. As an addition, I now want that this message is shown for 5 seconds only, and then it's removed. And to do so, we need to use the set timeout. And the set timeout function takes two things. First of all, it takes a function. And second, it takes a time. So we are adding 5,000 milliseconds, which means after 5,000 milliseconds, do whatever is in that function here. And after this 5,000 milliseconds, I would like to set the class list. Let's do it with class name so that you see both versions. I would like to set the class name to error and invisible. So there we go. Which means when I click the add button, we see our error message, and after 5 seconds, it's disappearing. Okay, because after 5 seconds, everything in that function that will pass to set timeout is executed. Perfect. And now we're just missing the else here. So what happens if everything is correct? So if we have no error, okay, but then we should create a new musical. And the musical has a title, has an author, has a year, has a genre, and a duration. Perfect. And then we're pushing it to our musicals array. That's it. Fine. So what else would be interesting if we do that? So if we fill out all these fields with some values, and if we click the add button, it might happen that it's added in the background, but it's not cleared. So I want the form to be cleared. So let's do a clear form here. We don't have that function yet. And what we also want to do is, as soon as we click the add button, we want to update whatever is shown down there. And to update whatever is shown down there, we need to call another function. We need to call filter musicals, because before filter, because before we can show them down there, we have to check what filter is applied here, so that we only show elements which apply to the filter. So let's think about the clear form first. The clear form is pretty easy. We have different ways of doing it. So we can just say document query selector. And as we did it up here, we can just go for hash title dot value equals and nothing. So this might be a possibility, but there is an way easier possibility. So we can just go for the query selector all. And what we would like to grab is all the inputs in our add form. So we do the add form ID and then input, and now we can use a for each. And for each, let's call it input in here, we just want to say input dot value equals nothing. So let's do it in that way. Should be easy to read. So for anything in there, let's just do nothing. And this is what we would like to achieve here. So let's see if that works out. So if we enter some values here, we click the add button, it tells me that something's wrong with the duration, and that makes sense because it's not a correct value. So, but now the form is not cleared. And the reason for that is that we defined a function up here and we didn't define a function down there. Did you get it, guys? Great. So how do we create a function? It's just const clear form equals, and then the arrow, and there we are. Just paste whatever we just did. And if we now do the same thing, and everything's cleared. Perfect. So this is exactly what we would like to do. And now let's think about how to filter our musicals, because this is what the next part should be. So let's go down here. Let's create the function first. So it's filter musicals. And first of all, we need to grab whatever value is selected, okay? And I think I have one value in there, which is the all. And when we take a look at the all, we see that we have a value of all. And this is what we like to grab here. So we go for the document, we go for the query selector, it's the filter select, and then we just go for the value here. So this gives us the value. Then we need to make sure that our filtered musicals are cleared up, because we don't want to add them. We want to just show whatever's in there. So by setting the length to 0, we can clear it up. And now what we do is we are grabbing the filter dot to uppercase and we compare it to all. If it's all, then we just go through all the musicals that we have and we push them to our filtered musicals. Otherwise, there is some filter down there. So what we do is we're grabbing the musicals and we're using the filter function here. And whenever the genre to uppercase equals whatever we define or whatever we find in our filter, this is what we're filtering, all the elements, then we're pushing only these musicals. And that should hopefully work out. We don't see it right now. Can we check it in some way? I mean, yes, we can just console log the filtered musicals. And let's save it first. Let's see the console. And what we can now do is we can just add any dummy musical, I don't care. And we see, yes, so the musical is in there, it's added, it's in our filtered musicals. So exactly what we expect this to do. So whenever we filter musicals, which by the way can also be done by just clicking the filter button, so maybe we also should implement this very quickly. So when grabbing the filter button here, and we are also adding an event listener for that, it's a click listener, it's an event, and what we do is we just call filter musicals. Perfect. So now also when we click the filter button, whatever we do in here is executed. But important for me to know is, as soon as we filter the musicals, we also have to do a new display down there. And the function to display all these musicals in our HTML file is called update musical list. And this is what we're going to do next. So update musical list is up here. Const update musical list. Okay, we're doing it as an arrow function. There we go. So, and first of all, where do we want to add them? It's the musical items, and the musical items is the container that we see up here. So this div. So let's grab that div first of all, because this is where we want to go afterwards. If we're displaying the musicals, we have to get rid of everything which is already in there. So right now it's just our dummy element, but we want to get rid of that one. So what we do is just very simple, inner HTML equals nothing. That makes sense. And now we would like to display our filtered musicals. So we iterate through all the musicals in that data structure. It would make sense to have one musical here only. And for each of these musicals, we need to create exactly the part I'm currently marking. So this whole div musical item. I'm getting rid of it here because we don't need it anymore. And I will paste it in here so that we see what we have to create. And I think that's pretty easy to be created because we have a div all around that with the class musical item. So first of all, let's create that div. So it's just musical item equals. So we're using the create element function here. And what we create is a div. And this musical item has to have a class name of musical dash item. Okay. Now we need to set just the inner HTML, and to do that I'm going to use a template string, and I'm just going to copy whatever's in here. Let's paste it. So the image is the same for all of them. The title is not the same. So let's use the template string property here, and let's go for musical.title. The genre is also not the same. So let's go for musical.genre. And the same is true for duration. And if you remember, we had a function created in the musical class. I think it was called getDuration. So this is how we can add them. And finally, we need to apply them to our musical items by using append child. So we're adding another child, and this is the musical item. So let's see if this works out or if we forgot something. I'm just adding anything right now because I just want to see if it works out. And if we click it, we see that everything's deleted up here, and we see that there is a value down there. Let's create another one, and let's also check if our duration works out. So if you remember, for 121, it should be 2 hours and 1 minute. Looks great. So I always like to test more values because I think it makes sense to see if also this thing works. So to go to the next row. But it looks pretty good. And also if we click on filter, everything stays as it is because all is currently the only option that we can select in here. Looks good. Okay, so we're only missing the filtering, and the filtering part also consists of two parts because what I can do is first of all enter another filter. So we're filtering by genre, and I can just say drama here, and then I want to press the enter button, and if I press the enter button and the value is not in there yet, I want it to be added. And the add filter, or the function that we're creating now for add fields. So whenever we press the enter button is to add it, first of all, to just add it to the filtered values. So if remember, we created it here, filter values to add it to that array. So this is what we're going to do. So therefore we are grabbing the filter, the box. So it's the filter input that we're using here. And we're adding an event listener, and it's not a click listener because we want to react on the key press. So we're doing a key down event, and let's console log that one so we see what's going on. Maybe let's do it in that way. Here is our console. And let's click into this and let's press or write something. So for everything that I type, I get a keyboard event down there, and I'm pressing the enter button right now. And what you can observe here is that we have a property key, and this says enter if the enter button is pressed. So that's perfect because we can now just create a simple if here to say if e.key equals enter, then we would like to do something. And what we do is we are grabbing whatever is in our text field. So let's say it's our filter, or let's name it new filter. So we are grabbing the document.query selector. It's the filter dash input.value. So this is whatever we're getting from there. And what we do is if our filtered values don't include whatever filter to uppercase is, so if it's not in there yet, then we say filtered values.push, and we are already pushing it as an uppercase. So it's filter.to uppercase, so we are already doing it in that way. And then we need to clear up whatever is written in the text field, and that's it. So let's see if that works out. So when we do drama here, we press enter, we don't get anything. So guys, did you see the error I did? It says can't find variable filter. Yes, because we mistyped here. It's filter. And another thing that you always need to take care of is if it's a property like value or if it's a function, because this also makes a very huge difference. So let's go for drama here, press enter. It's not there. Okay, because we're just adding it to the array, but we're not showing it. So to show it, we have to call a method called update filter select, and this is the method we're going to create down there. So there we go. And once again, we are grabbing the select here, so which is basically that part, because in here we have to create options. So we are just grabbing that filter select using document query selector. Where is my cursor? There it is. So with the filter select, we're going to get rid of, or we're getting rid of everything that's in there because we don't need that anymore. And then we go for our filter values. We iterate using a for each. So for each value that we find in there, we have to create a new option, because option is the element that we need here. And this option, as you remember from before, has a value, and this option has a text content. So the value is what we get when we use the value property, and the text content is what's shown to us. And then we append a new child to our filter select. So the same as we did before. And that's it. So let's see. Drama. And now drama is in here. Let's try it again. Drama. It's not doing anything because it's already in there. Let's go for comedy. It gives us comedy. Perfect. So this looks pretty cool. And let's see if all of these things also come together. So let's go for drama here. Let's click filter and let's add something. I don't know any drama, to be sure. So I'm just going for Maria Theresia, which is currently played in Vienna. I don't know who the author is, but I know it was released in 2025. Let's go for drama here, and the duration in minutes is, I think it's 2.5 hours, something like this, so maybe 150 there. So 2.5 hours. Let's go for another one. Hamilton, I don't know who created that one either. Sorry. The year, I also don't know the year. Maybe it was 2022. The genre is historical, and the duration must have been, let's go for 200 minutes. Click add. So we're not seeing it on there. But that should be correct. If we go for comedy and filter, we don't see anything. But if we go for all and filter, we see both of them. So we also see Hamilton right now, and we can enter a new genre, historical. And now if we filter for historical, we only see Hamilton. So it looks like that whatever we do, our program seems to be functioning perfectly correct. So let's recap once again what we did. First of all, we made sure to use or to hide and to show the input form. We created a class with a constructor to save our musicals and also a function in that class so that we can format our duration. And we created the data structure. So once again, the musicals array holds all the musicals at all the times. The filtered musicals array only holds the one to be displayed. So right now it's the same as in musicals, but if I filter for drama, musicals holds 2, filtered musicals only holds 1. Okay? And then we have the filter values, which are the one to be displayed here on the left-hand side. When we go down a little bit, we grabbed the values of all our input fields, and we defined the error message to be shown. We created it, and the error message is hidden after 5 seconds. So once again, in set timeout, whatever is passed in the function is executed after the time you defined on there has passed. And then we have adding the different musicals. We are clearing the form, so we're doing that in a very easy way, but just using the for each here. We had the show musicals, which is responsible for displaying it down there, just with a simple inner HTML and a template string. We have a filter. So we're adding the filter whenever the enter key is pressed by using the key property of our key down event. And then we're displaying the different fields by creating options for our select tag that we have. Finally, we filter our musicals by grabbing the selected value in our drop-down field here and getting rid of whatever is in that array currently. Then we're using the do uppercase to check if it's all or if it's the filter. We're using the filter function here to filter for all the musicals and for each once again to add them to the filtered musicals. Just to make sure, there is another way of getting rid of them. You can just say slice here, and you can go from 0 to filter musicals.length. So this will also get rid of all the elements, okay? So that you have 2 possibilities down here. Okay, So guys, this is already the end of that video. I hope that you enjoyed this first exercise that we did together, and I plan to do more videos on practicing these different topics, whatever you see on my channel. If you like this video, just give it a like. If you have questions, if you want to tell me something, just leave a comment below the video. And if you do not want to miss any of the upcoming episodes or videos, just subscribe my channel. And brand new, I'm also now on Instagram, so I try to post reels on there with just some short information, or whenever I'm posting a new video on YouTube, you should also see a short note down there. So thanks guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Have a nice day. Bye.